This is Dr. Gigi Sabat, and you're listening into the Walk With Me podcast. My guest today is Sharla. Welcome to the show.
And thank you so much, Gigi. It's always such an honor to be with you. I appreciate it.
Likewise. Now, can you start off by telling us a little bit more about you and where are you from, Sharla?
Well, my original home is Georgia, and that's where I was reared as a child. And of course, I left there, married, went to Florida, and I lived in Florida since 1984. And I have recently moved to Charlotte, North Carolina, which has been a dream of mine for some time now to be near the mountains. But I am an educator. I just cut the umbilical cord in education for 59 years on June the 1st. And I'm venturing out, doing more with my writing, and hopefully going into some speaking and simply traveling and enjoying myself.
I love it. And tell us a little bit more about your experience as an instructor.
As a teacher, I started out in the classroom in mathematics and science. I went into the high school level, but began at middle school. And my first year at middle school, at that time was where the ninth grade was housed. And I knew in my heart that I wanted to work with the ninth graders. That's just where I wanted to be. So when the transition was made and the ninth grade was moved into the high school, I moved with it. Of course, not realizing at the time I would not get a classroom of ninth graders. It was a classroom of all graders, 9 through 12. That made a tremendous difference. So it wasn't until really my last year in the classroom I found my niche as far as being with the youth. I got into an accelerated program, dropout prevention. And it was for the ninth grade students that just simply were not ready for high school, and they had been somewhat labeled as possible not being able to finish their education, that they would drop out. And I enjoyed more than I think all of my teaching years working with those youth and seeing the joy, the excitement, the pleasure, the accomplishments in their eyes when they succeeded. It was absolutely beautiful. And then I moved from there into district office, started writing curriculum. And when from the curriculum writing, we went out into the field and toured, well, not really toured, but we provided professional development for teachers across the state of Florida, which involved a lot of traveling until COVID hit. And then when COVID hit, then of course we all know the coin completely flipped and our world was on a different side, so to speak. That's when everything went internal and we were on the internet. So I still work with teachers within the state of Florida, but it was all online. And in June, when I decided to step away, I wanted to get out of that online environment 24/7, so to speak, because I wanted to be back face to face with people.
Very good. And speaking of face to face, right, you recently did a TEDx talk. Tell us a little bit more about your experience.
I did. I'm such an avid nature lover that I decided I wanted to do the talk and I wanted it to connect with nature. So my talk was Dance with the Earth, Partner with Nature. And I contacted several venues and avenues, put in applications for the talk. And one came through that was very extensive, comprehensive, very detailed, more so than anyone that I had filled out prior to that. And when I submitted it, I thought there was just so much to it. I really didn't give myself enough credit for being able to do what I did as far as the questions and everything. I think at that point in time, my self-esteem was still a little bit low. So I was excited, but then at the same time, really didn't put a lot into it as my chance, so to speak. So when I got the telephone call, it was from Billings, Montana, and the lady told me that I had been selected for the talk. I I was so elated. I remember it well because I had taken my car over to have some repairs, and I was still at the repair shop, and I just sat there and I just praised God. I just said prayer and said thank you. I breathed and was just so emotional with joy. Not so much in the fact that yes, I'm giving the talk, but look where it is. Montana. Montana is the big sky. What could be more appropriate for talking about nature than being in Montana and being among the mountains and the big sky? So, and after that, as a follow-up to the talk, I wrote the book, Dance with the Earth, Partner with Nature, and that is on Amazon.
Wow, incredible. And speaking of books, you also wrote other books as well. And I had the honor of reading one of your books as well. And tell us a little bit more about how the body heals itself.
And how the body heals itself, that was a collaborative effort. So you will find, I believe, if I remember correctly, there were 21 authors from different renowned points of life that wrote of their experiences of what happened and how basically they healed themselves, not to put any kind of lesser, I guess, emphasis on our doctors and our medicines and what we have today, because there are times when you can't do without them. And we are very fortunate and that we can receive them when we need them. But there are times when the body, if we look into the body and really study and know the circumstances behind how or why we are suffering or have a disease such as we do, a lot of times it can be contributed to the unconscious mind. And it can also be where we can look to our body and know that within our body, there are processes that heal. And I look at it this way. As a child, I fell on my bicycle, which I know a lot of kids have. I got a pretty good gash and cut in my knee.
Oh,
Well, it healed. It healed. It closed up. And
yes.
I watched it and I looked at it and I thought, well, isn't as a child, that was miraculous because I didn't realize, that could even happen. And to witness that through the eyes that I did, it opened me up. And I remembered that when I did the book. And I thought about, yeah, we have scars sometimes on our body where our body has healed itself. Sometimes we don't even know.
Wow. As you're speaking, I'm thinking of something that happened to me last summer, actually. I collapsed. And so a lot of injuries came with that. Yeah, I know. I talk about it openly. And so on my hand here, if you can see here, there was an injury there as well. And so when we thought that the injury, it may not close, and there was a scar as well. Now, as you see here, you can barely see anything, but it was a huge line that went up all the way to the hand. And so that's gone now. And so, and actually, I had just got done reading your book as well around the same time. So, yeah,
Right.
I mean,
Yeah,
there
and
it
we have
is.
to, yeah, and we have to realize that this body of ours and the cells, the construction, I'm gonna say construction because we're a living machine in a
Right.
way, that the way that we are formed and the way we are constructed, there's so much that we still don't know
Exactly.
because the body is miraculous. It's so miraculous, the mind and the body. And if we don't listen to our body, and sometimes I know I have been guilty to be too much in my head and too much in my mind, but that when I back away and I clear as you learned today about the mind pause, as I clear that clutter that's in my mind and I start listening to my body, then I begin to realize, oh, okay, this is where I need to relax. This is where I need to be a little bit more calm. This is where I need to respond instead of reacting. It causes you to notice. I don't want to say think, but it's notice.
It is.
You become aware and you notice things you never noticed before.
Wow, very powerful. And speaking of books, tell us a little bit more about your poetry book.
Well, my poetry book, that's my joy.
Oh,
My poetry book is the catnip of life. And when people look at me and they ask me, "Oh, is it about cats? It's catnip." And because of the name, I say, "No, no, it's not about cats. However, you can reflect on the cat because the catnip does." put the cat into a state of calm or tranquility,
Yes.
or it can excite the cat. Well, out in our world, in our environment, we have the catnip of life, and the catnip of life is Mother Nature. So when I wrote that book, I wrote it from the premise of nature, such that when you walk outside and you notice something, you'll have a little bit more attention to exactly what you're witnessing. And also, you will notice things that you've never noticed before. And then when you read the poetry, as you go through it, then when you get to the end, it doesn't end because you want to know, okay, she wrote about this. I'm thinking she saw it somewhere. So where did she see it? And I'm hoping from the reading, my goal is from the reader reading is to want to go outside and take that step into nature and make that a daily walk. Because there's nothing better for your mind and your body than stepping into the atmosphere of nature and pulling your energies from the natural world.
That's right. I walk and I run in my local area, Palm Coast, and I do it with friends as well. And also I'm training for a triathlon coming up here in October, so I love getting out there in nature. Yeah.
I've been following you on your triathlon. I think
Oh,
that's
thank you.
awesome that you're doing
Oh,
that.
I appreciate that. I received that. Thank
Yes,
you for your
yes,
support. It means a lot.
yes.
Yeah, I'm super
Yeah.
excited. I'm fired up. And speaking of poetry, we are releasing a poetry book in 2027. That's with
I
friends from,
know.
yes, ma'am, with friends from all over the world and in the local area, Palm Coast. And such an honor to have you write the foreword for that. Thank you so much for writing the foreword. I appreciate you.
You
And
are certain. I receive that.
oh,
And I am just touched in my heart as I talk with you and I listen to you because I have learned this basically here recently. I've always expressed gratitude and I've had gratitude for everything that's around me. And I've always been a giver. But gratitude is not just giving. Gratitude is giving and receiving.
yes,
And to hear
both sides.
you and our conversations, even just the little things, that you mentioned, I receive that. You do because you receive it with gratitude. And that's helping. You are helping me in my journey in understanding and realizing and building a higher level for me for gratitude.
That's right, and I agree with you. Just like you're able to give, you need to be able to receive. So
Yes,
important.
yes.
Charlotte, what message do you have for an individual who may want to give up today?
Oh my gosh, don't give up. Don't ever give up. And you opened the door to something that I'm working on at the present time. And I'm about to celebrate my 80th birthday.
Congratulations.
Yes, and I am working on Unstoppable at 80
Yes.
because I put it this way. You may be 24 years old, 44, 54, 74. It doesn't really matter. But one day you may see your reflection in the mirror and you could be perplexed, puzzled, questioning what happened. You don't want to be looking in that mirror and questioning what happened. Where did the time go? Where did I go? At any age, you want to look in that reflection with a smile and say, what's next? Because there's always a what's next in your life. As long as you have your true nature and purpose in front of you, and you have that guideline where you can walk the path that you should be walking to help others, you can always share and always help others along that path. So that's my message to anyone that might be listening. Don't give up, don't question, just other than one question. What's next?
Very powerful and unstoppable at 80. I love it. I love it. I love the energy as well. And so
Yeah.
I'm in my 30s, but a lot of people say you have like a 6-year-old mindset. They say because I'm very mature. I said I'll take it. And not just that, but you talk about unstoppable at 80, and I love it. And I also think about a woman that I know who did CrossFit over the age of 90 years old.
That's remarkable. See, it can be
Yes.
done. It can
Yes,
be
it can
done.
be done.
Yes.
Mindset. And
Yeah.
Trusting and enjoying the
I
process.
get up I get up early every morning. Sometimes it may be 4:30, sometimes 5:30, usually before 6 a.m. And I do my stretches and my exercises to move my body after being
Yes.
lying in the bed all night long. It's I know a lot of people wake up, pick up their phones, they start texting, and they just lie there. And
Yes.
I don't. I move my body. I wake up with gratefulness and thankfulness. Have my morning prayers, and then I get up, I do my stretches, and I go for a 2 or 3 mile walk. And I take my journal with me. I found a place where there's a bench, and I'll just sit on the bench there early in the morning, and I'll do my journaling and write and just sit there and receive. Because I receive from the wind, I receive from the sun, I receive from the
Oh,
trees, and it's beautiful. It's really beautiful.
I love it. And speaking of fitness or health in general as well, what message you have for an individual who wants to start on a fitness journey, but there's a fear there, fears there.
There's always that fear, yes. And the best place to start, and that's with me, the first place that I started was stretching. And I got that from my mom because I remember mother tell in the mornings before she got out of bed, she would always stretch her legs. She would either move them, up and down in the bed or stretch them or whatever. And she mentioned to me one morning that she said, before you ever get out of the bed, she said, move your body. And
Oh,
that stuck with me. And so I'm telling everyone, move your body as soon as you can, early in the morning, even if you're still just lying in the bed,
yes.
just, wiggle your toes, your legs, your feet, your arms, stretch, move that body, and then go into silence. That's the prayer time. Just go into silence where your mind is just not filled with any clutter. It's still. If something comes into your mind, just let it pass and just lie in the stillness. And then once that stillness is past,
Yes.
then you can get up and and I get up and I walk. But not everybody, would be a walker, but whatever is for you. It could be just walking to get a cup of coffee. Don't, it could be stepping out on your porch, or it could be just opening the door and breathing a breath of fresh air. But getting your morning started in your body, I think that's what's important.
I love it. Absolutely incredible. And now tell us a little bit more about the mind pause.
Oh my gosh. Oh, the mind pause. That I'm calling that my baby of the moment.
Yeah.
The book that I'm writing right now is called Fragments of Forces. And the fragments are the sabotaging habits that keep us from realizing our true nature and purpose. They hold us back. It could be a low self-esteem. It could be not feeling that we're enough. It could be that we don't belong. Maybe we feel like we're perfectionists. We can't do anything right, unless it's absolutely perfect. It's the little things that keep us from that what's next. It holds us back. So the mind pause is at any point in the day, whatever you're doing, even before you start a task, stop, take a breath, just inhale for about 4 beats, hold it for 2, and then exhale for about 6. Couple to 3 times to just relax your mind and your body. And when you do that, just like in the morning in your time of silence, that clutter that's in your mind, a lot of it will disappear. It just fades. So that now, when you turn to your work to do what you need to do, you're entering it with a clear mind and not entering with a fear of, oh, am I going to finish this? I know I've got this to do. I got, oh, X amount of time. A lot of times we sabotage ourselves because we try to rush, because we have to get it done in the moment, but you don't, because the moment you need is the moment to prepare to be ready to do what you need to do. And it also helps when you're in a situation, perhaps someone says something and it's a trigger, but then you don't want to respond too fast because you know if you react, it could be the wrong thing. That's the time for mind pause, just to hold back. And if anybody says, well, are you okay? Is anything wrong? Say, no, I'm just taking a mind pause. And that changes the whole atmosphere because
Yes.
yeah, you just totally blow them away because that's not what they expect.
I love it. Take a mind pause. Very powerful.
Yeah.
And tell us a little bit more about the heart pause.
The heart pause now just
Yes.
came about a few days ago. And I was just working, just writing, here at my computer. And I had someone come to my mind that I had not thought about in a while. And they just came to my heart. And I started thinking about them. I said, I really just need to reach out to them. And it wasn't long after that, I thought about another situation with someone that I had spoke with. And I thought, I really need to call them. I'm not sure if I said this right or wrong, and I just want to make sure everything is okay. That touched my heart. And then the little things that started happening in the moment that were giving me reflections of discoveries. And then my discoveries are called breadcrumbs.
Yes.
My little breadcrumbs of discovery instigated the heart pause. So, if any point in time you think of someone, I need to write a note to this person, I need to call this person or whatever, you just like the mind pause, you just stop. But you put your hand on your heart and you focus on your heart. And you think about that person that is on your mind at that moment. And then when you have finished, completed the thoughts, you will know at that moment, do I pick up the phone or do I write them a note? Because you know at that time what's next and you'll do it.
Very good. Thanks so much, Sharla. Now, Sharla, what is your best advice to the audience for walking with purpose and living a life of happiness?
You know, happiness. We think about things, what will make me happy? And a lot of times we think of material and we start naming the things that will make me happy. I think what I could leave with people to walk with purpose and to make them happy is to relax, is to find that time where you can look within and find yourself. Because if you don't take the time to look in the mirror and know who you are, know yourself, and love yourself, that's it. Wake up and just love yourself, then it's going to be hard. But if you love yourself and you wake up with knowing you have a purpose that you can go out and share and help others, because when you do that, you're helping yourself, you'll find that your life will be a lot different. And people will learn a lot. I'm going to say again, when the book comes out about fragments of forces, because I was the victim. I was the victim and I was sabotaged. And the saboteur was me, no one else, only me. So go deep within.
Wow. Thank you for sharing. And when did you realize the sabotager was you?
2 years ago, that late in my life. Yeah, 2 years ago. And my husband had passed away. I had gone through a lot trying to recover, trying to recoup. After 35 years, I'm alone. What am I going to do? All the questions that go through your mind
Right.
and it took me 2 years to really bring myself back together to realize that I had a life, that my life could still go on and it could be very productive and very purposeful. And once I realized that, that's when I started doing the study, started reading more. I got into a group, started working with people, and just beginning to know a lot more about myself. Yeah.
Very good and very powerful message. Love yourself. Thanks, Sharla. Now, Sharla, do you have any last words for the audience?
Oh, my last words have got to be 2 words. What's next?
What's next?
I'm serious because I just well, that and there are two of them. There's so what and what's next.
Love it.
Because there's a quote by Wayne Dyer that I just absolutely love because he said, I am no longer dependent. Wait, let me get this straight. I am independent of being dependent on others. I'm totally independent of being dependent on others because too often in my I guess, life that I had and I was growing up. I was too external. And in that external environment, I knew about God, but I did not know him. And there's an entirely difference when you go within and you bring him, you bring everything in your life, you look at it from the internal instead of looking at the external. Who do I have to please? Worrying about what I'm going to do wrong, not knowing where to turn next, not being able to make a decision. That's all outside. So, yeah,
Very good.
look at the so what's, what really matters, and then focus on what's next.
I love it. Thanks so much, Charlotte, for being a guest on the Walk With Me podcast. Now, where can the audience find you?
Oh, they can find me. I am working on a new website and it should be up hopefully in the next. So you can go there and it says launching soon, but be on the lookout for it. And it's going to be under my maiden name. So it's Sharla, Sharla, Lee, Lee dot co. And then my book is going to be Sharla-Lee.com.
Thanks, Charlotte. And ladies and gentlemen, make sure to check out Charla. And Charla, God bless you and be safe.
And thank you so much, Gigi. As always, I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome.